Okay, so now it's time to try to solve this beast. So in a ghost configuration, you really don't know which end is up, which end is down, or anything of that nature. Now, I take a look at this scrambled version, and I can tell that there's something wrong with its structure. I can see that this is in the wrong place, and I have to just plop it up right like this. So I know that this is the top and this is the bottom. Here, I don't know if something like that has occurred. The only thing I can do is try to turn. So this turns okay here. So that tells me that I'm in a right position. Something isn't 90 degrees off of where it should be. But the question is, what's top and what's bottom with this? And that is, well, that could be a little harder to tell. So what I'm going to do is try to do something like a layer by layer. And it looks to me like this will be the top because this is the largest one here, fitting with this over here. So that means these guys should all turn by 90-degree increments, and everything else can go 180 degrees. So let's see if that's where it needs to be. Now I notice that this does not seem to want to turn, and it should, but it might just be not aligned properly. So I'll have to take a few moments to see. So this doesn't work here, but it does work here. Okay, so if I keep doing 90-degree increments here, then I think we're good. Okay, so I'm going to say that this is the top and this is the bottom. So where do I even start? Well, this holds a special place in my heart because the 3x4x5 was the very first 3D printed puzzle that I got, and it's where I started to have to design my own strategies because there wasn't a whole lot of guidance that was out there. But the way that I start off with this, and I have to refine that for the ghost, because this is a hell version of it, which means that it's ghosted along the along this axis. So it's ghosted like this, which is a little hard to tell because if I'm doing it layer by layer, ghosting it like this would be easier because this will all be consistent. But no, it's going to be ghosted in this layer. So I know that the side layer is going to be the one that I can consistently get. But what I would do is I would start by getting in the top layer. I see this is green over here. And I suppose what I would do is I would just start getting in my edges. So I see these two edges here, and I can move these to the side. I've got the red one here, and I can decide which one goes where. So red, center, so I'm putting my edges in. And then I'll put in my orange edge like this. Now the question is, did I do the right thing? Well, now I'm going to use the terminal colors here to decide what the corners are. So here's a green, blue, and yellow. Orange rather, so that should come over to here. So I'm just going to move that down. Well, let's do this. Because this is a domino type cuboid, I can only do 360 degree turns. So I'm going to have to move it from down here. So this is the red, and that has to correlate with, well, where? Red and white. It can only be here, so this needs to be the red layer. And I mistakenly thought that that was a yellow layer. So I'm just going to take this, move this here, put the red one in here, move this across here, move the orange one here. So that should correlate with the corners. So here's that corner, and this is the red and white, which will correlate with this red and white right here. So this is going to be done by the sliding U technique, or in this case I can just move it up like this. Well, so to get this in, 2L, slide it to the right, 2R, slide it back to the left, 2L, slide it back to the right, 2R. Now the whole purpose right now is to try to free up any bandaging that's happening. So you can see that there's certain moves that I can't do. So let's get the other ones. This has a green one here, so this green and blue, and red, so that'll knock this one out. 2R, slide it to the left, 2L, slide it back to the right, 2R. This remains still among the most durable puzzles that I have. Tom Z's fantastic work. So I'm just going to keep incrementally putting these in. This guy goes right here. So slide it in, slide it here, move it out, slide it back, move it in. Okay, so you can see the shape is starting to take hold. Now there's no actual center here, so this is defining what the center is. This white and green will come up to here. 2R, slide it to the left, 2L, slide it to the right, 2R, slide to the left, 2L. Okay, so we can see this first side is solved. Then I would go into the second side here, and the way that I would do that in true cuboid style, because that's really what a brick is there sets of two cuboids on top of each other. These two and these two. And these two only scramble with each other. These two layers only scramble with each other. So I find the two corners that are in, which is this, line it up, and I do an adjacent corner swap to swap these two where they're supposed to be. So that's going to be 2RU, 2R UI, 2R, UID, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R, and this slides back. So you can see these corners all match up. These centers, maybe not so much. The way this is done now is with adjacent or even opposite edge swaps. So adjacent edge swap over here, 2RU, 2RU, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2RU, 2R, UI, 2R. Okay, that brings the shape back, and you can see these are all coordinated with each other. Now, how do I translate that to this beast? Well, the first thing I want to do is I have to find the sides, the top and the bottom, and I'm going to say that it's this. So to put the edges in, I could line up what edge goes here and line up the edges that go here, because this whole side is going to be my first layer, but it's not going to line up. It's not going to appear to line up. So I have to actually do layer by layer within this top layer. The only layers that are going to completely line up are going to be these guys. So that means that these corners here are going to be with one edge, and that's going to be clear. What's also a little different with this is it doesn't matter which part of the layer comes in. So this top could be here or it could be here, because they're sort of solved independently. I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess I'll have to show it. So let's make sure we're where we need to be. So somewhere here, this here, which is 3, is going to be something like this, which is 3. Oh, here's my top. Here's my top over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to find the edges that belong here, and there's only a limited amount. It's not this one. Maybe it's this one, or maybe it's something down here. So I can see this one fits with this edge over here. So, oh, no, actually this is the one here. So let's see if we can find a large one that might roll into it. So there's this. This center is equivalent to one of these guys here. So let's double turn, and we find that this does not fit at all. That doesn't fit here either. There's nothing here that seems like it'll fit here, so it's all down here somewhere. So maybe this guy. 1, 2, and well, do we like it? I don't think we like it that much, but maybe it belongs with this one. So I'm going to move this one here, double turn, and this is much better. Okay, so I can go by this side here. This correlates, that's like this edge. Now I'm going to have to find this edge over here. It might be this guy here, so let's move this down. 1, 2. Bring this across here. You can see how well this puzzle moves. And 1, 2. This doesn't belong here, which means it must belong here. But look at this. This came into here. So I'm going to go 1, 2. Okay, so what we have on this side is we have this whole thing in. We don't have this one in yet. I seem to think this one maybe belongs here. So just for the sake of argument, let's go ahead and bring this down. Come over to here, move this in place, and double turn. Okay, good. So this is good, and this is good. Let's line them up so that they're both kind of facing the same way. Okay, now what I notice is that this is a big one. Now it's a little surprising to me because it would appear that this is long in here, but I don't think so. So these two actually belong here, and two other edges belong to the side of this. So I'm just gonna kind of let that play itself out. But I need to next get corners in. And it doesn't really matter which one it is, because it could be this side or this side. And the reason why it doesn't matter is because this is a ghost, these are independent. So this can go up and down. So I'm not looking like here for a specific color. It just has to be edges that match. And it doesn't matter if it's here or here because it's ghosted anyway. If that makes sense. So instead of finding one that's the equivalent to the yellow and white and yellow and blue, I'm just going to find these that coincide with each other because they're sort of out of sync anyway. So what that entails, is that I need to find edges that belong between these two. And it's very clear to me that these actually belong here because none of these would be nearly enough to fit with these. So I think these edges are not where they need to be. So I'm just going to randomly take something like this and put it here. Although on thinking about it, I think these two do go together, but I think they should be up here. So if I were to move this here, I'm going to try to move this in a position where it's facing this way instead of this way, because then this edge will accept what it needs to accept over here instead of try over here. So this is going to be pointing up to here. So let's do a sliding U technique to do it. 2L, slide it to the right, and 2R, slide it to the left, 2L, slide it to the right, and 2R. Okay, so in essence what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to move this so that it's not pointing this way, because that means it wants to have this as in between it. I have to point it this way. So that was my intention. Now the one that seemed to line up with that, I believe, was this side. So this, I want to move over here. And I'm kind of in position to do that. So sliding U technique. So you can see that I'm taking this away from this angle and putting it into this angle. 2R. Well, let's think about that. Let's think about that. Was it this one or was it this one? I'm going to say it was this one, I think. So 2L, U, 2R, UI, slide it to UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI. Okay, so now you can see that these two are properly angled to accept a center. Now which center belongs here? Well, is it this one? Or is it this one? Well, I'm going to go 1, 2, and that doesn't quite fit. It's a ghost, so it has to fit exactly. So let's move not this one, but this one in place. Move this twice over here. And let's do a 2 middle, 2M. And I'm going to say no. The thing is it does fit this, but not this. So 2M, then we'll move it here. 2R, slide it back. Do another 2M, M for middle, slide it back here, and another 2R. Okay. So I'm going to say that this does belong with this, but not this one. I kind of suspected that they didn't quite match, but let's see what does match here. Is it something from this side? Well, it's this one. Let's swing this in, and no. Now it's got to be completely lined up and it moves really freely once it is. It's not any of those. I'm just going to keep doing this until I see, aha, you see this is good. So this is a 2R, slide it to the left, 2L, slide it back to the right, 2R, and slide it back to the left, 2L. Okay, so this is in. What I have is the equivalent of this and this, just on this layer. Boom. So I can keep doing this layer over here, and it doesn't matter if it's the top or the bottom because they're out of sync anyway. So what then goes here? Now this one might want to be like this, because I see these two are very close to each other. So I'm going to say that this belongs here. So 2R, ooh, that fits nicely right here. Swing it over here to the left. 2L, swing it back to the right. R, swing it back to the left, and 2L. Now you might see me struggle a little bit with alignment, but that's not a fault of the puzzle. This has to do with how I'm presenting this. I'm sort of holding this in a way that I don't usually hold it, so I can demonstrate it for the camera. Normally, if I hold it much closer to the chest, so I can stabilize things much better. But that's why. Anyway, so this is in. I just have to find the corner down here that goes in. And I'll just randomly try, say, whatever's here. 1, 2, that obviously ain't it. So let's move this over 1. Not even gonna look, it's gotta be one of these guys. 1, 2, nope. That ain't it. Move this over again. 1, 2, nope, but I guess we're getting closer. Because we only have one more left, so it's got to be the next one. Closest thing I'll come to doing this blindfolded. Okay. Let's get ourselves aligned. Now, what aligns with what? Yes, no? Okay, yeah, 1, 2, and yes, as predicted, that works. Move it along in here, 1, 2, move it back, 1, 2, back here, and 1, 2. Okay, so let's take stock on what we've got. This is in, and this is in. So it's like we have this layer here. All of these are offset, just like these are, but that's okay. Now we turn it upside down. And we can see that this got out of kilter, but that's okay. We just need to get these guys to line up. So how are we going to do that? Well, are there two corners that are in? That's almost impossible for me to say. But what I can say is that this does belong here, but we have to worry about that later. So because none of these corners line up, if any did line up, here's an edge here and here's an edge here, and they're not where they need to be, so therefore this isn't either. So I'm just going to do a random adjacent corner swap. I'm going to do it to these two, only because it might hold this position, and this likes to be with this one here. So 2R, whoop, got an alignment, U, 2R, UI, 2R, Nothing yet. Okay, it's this one. UI D 2R UI 2R U and 2R. Okay, this should be back. And I just move this back like so. Okay, so let's see what we've got. These two are in a pretty good position, but they don't really belong with each other. And I'm thinking this belongs here. So I'm going to do a corner swap here and see what happens. 2R U, 2R UI, 2R UI D, 2R UI, 2R U, and 2R. And this moves back. Okay, I don't see that we're any closer to where we were. So I'm thinking, what am I thinking? I'm kind of thinking that, do these two line up with each other? I'm going to just be sure by let's temporarily take this down and go like 1, 2. Let's move this into here just to see. So that's going to look like 1, 2, and yes. Okay, that's what I wanted to be sure of. So now I know where that's supposed to go. This needs to be here. So what that means is I'm going to corner swap these two and then these two. Okay, I suppose I should have done that earlier. So we've got to line it up just right. To our U, to our UI, to our UI, D, to our UI, to our U, and to our. And this moves back. Okay, so what do? Well, I need to now swap these two and everything should be fine, I think. So to our U, to our UI, to our UI, D, to our UI, to our U, and one almighty to our. Okay, so here's the thing. I like these two together and I like these two together, but these centers obviously don't fit. This center belongs here, so we're going to do an adjacent edge swap and then maybe an opposite edge swap. I think definitely an opposite edge swap. So that's going to be to our U, to our U, to our, to U, to our, to U, to our U, oops, careful now, to our UI, to our. Okay, now every time I do that, this flips. So this doesn't look like it's in because this flipped. But if I do another kind of an edge swap, this will flip back. So bear that in mind. It doesn't look like it works, but it will because I'm going to do an opposite edge swap, and this being a super cuboid will flip back and everything should be fine. So it's to R, to U, to R, to U, to R, to U. And watch something magical happen. These are in, and this flip back up as well. So what we have now here is we have this configuration. This is in, and this is in. Just like, let's move this back here, this, this, and this. Okay, where do we go from here? Well, now, also bear in mind something too. These don't have to correlate with each other. This could just as easily be like this over here. So it doesn't really matter at this point. But what I do want to do is I want to start getting these guys in. So the next step that I would do is I would probably try to get all of these in so that I can at least get the shape back. Not that this shape will be back, but we'll be able to see things better. So the next thing that I would do is I would solve the cuboids of these two. And the way that would work is I'm going to try to put corners in. So I see this fits, blue and orange fit to here. This doesn't fit over here, so it's going to be some more sliding U techniques. This is red and blue, and that's going to belong here. So I'm going to double turn that here. To R, to L rather, slide it to an R just with this layer. And to R, slide it with this layer back again. To L, slide it back here. To R, slide it back. So this is in, and this is in. Now I want to get this. This is good over here. I just need to find an orange one, orange-white, which appears to be right here. Okay, so 2R, or 2L rather, slide it to an R, 2R, slide it back to an L, 2L, slide it back to an R, 2R, slide it back. Okay, so you can see these guys are in and this is in. Now I just have to get the centers. Well, the centers, these don't have any specificity. So I can use this one, I can use this one. If I just use this one, to M, slide it to either R or L, doesn't matter, then 2R, back to an M, to M, back to an R, to R, and back. So we're clear. This one is going to be a yellow. Any yellow will do. And it appears that we have it here, but we don't have any oranges rather here. We just have an orange here. So what I'm going to want to do, or here rather, so let's do an opposite edge swap. 2R, to U, 2R, to U, 2R, to U. Okay, so that's good. Now alternatively, here's what I can do, because it does create placement over here. So I'm going to swap this into here. 2R, U, 2R, U, 2R, to U, 2R, to U, 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. It just gets this back. So now we just have to move a white one in. We could use any one. So same sliding U techniques. And slide it back. Okay, we got it. Nope, almost. We still have a red one here. So you can see it's much easier for me to do with this because I can visualize the colors. Move it in from the center here, back, and here. Okay, and just like that, we have this second layer, leaving just this one in. So that's the key. But what I'm not done yet with is, I haven't really gotten the rest of this layer, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on this here, then I can start working on these other layers here. Because with this layer, I was really focused on this, these guys over here. These will have to wait until everything is not in a shape-shifted version, where everything is 3 here. As you can see, it's not all like that. I just have 2 over here. Okay, so the way that this is going to work is I'm not going to know which one is belongs here in the center, but I am going to know which ones belong here. Okay, therein lies the question. It's something in these 2 layers. This one belongs somewhere here, as does this. Okay, boom. This here belongs next to this guy. Now I could just move it in that position, so I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to move this like so. And that's okay, because with that done, I still should be able to, these are still just 90-degree turns, so I still should be able to move this. Can I? Yes, I can. Okay. All right, so this belongs over here. So then what belongs over here? Well, it might be this guy. The only way for me to know is to maybe move him here, and I'm just going to temporarily bring this guy to here. I'm going to see if I can't move this in. 1, 2, nope, 1, 2. So let's go ahead and quickly move this back. Doesn't really matter again. I just want to keep the same perspective. 1, 2. Okay, wow, complications. So, what then belongs here? I'm still trying to find what belongs over here. Maybe it's up here somewhere. Okay, so it appeared that it wasn't this. Anything else on the side that might fit? This doesn't. So my thinking is it's one of these guys over here. Which one is most likely? Possibly this, since it has that nice little slope. So I'm just going to move this in, 1, 2, move this across, and it doesn't seem to want to do it. 1, 2. Now here's what I'm thinking. Thinking maybe I just put it in wrong. So try this again with 1, 2. Now let's move this in. 1, 2, and it does fit. 1, 2. And let's quickly bring this back. Okay, so what I'm going to want to do is move this to here with an old friend, the sliding U technique. You can see that this fits here, which is good, but that's going to be R, slide it to the left, L, slide it back to the right, R, and slide it back to the left, and 2L. Put this back, and you can see that fits nicely here. Okay, so we did the equivalent of putting these two in. Not this one yet, but these two. Okay, if we come around to here, we're going to try to do the same thing for the for this. It's obviously none of these two. I can start correlating that because these two fit here, so that fits here nicely. This fits nicely, which means this guy must come to here. What? Oh, must come to one of these guys here. You know, if I turn this upside down, I like the fact, okay, these are all good, but for some reason, oh, I see the problem. I'm not on the top. Okay, this is the top. Anyway, looking at it like this, this is in, and this is in. So if I turn it upside down like this, all these are in except for this one. So which one should belong here? Well, it's not this and it's not this. It could be this and it could be this. So I'm going to surmise what it might actually be. I'm going to say this because this one has a short edge to here. So I'm going to flip surfaces and put this into here. So sliding U technique. Align this just right. As opposed to what I'm doing. No, not yet. I just have to remember what's the top and what's the bottom. This is the top here. But for some reason I'm not able to... Where's my alignment issue? Oh, you know what? My alignment issue is here, I think. Yep, there it is. Okay. So that was interesting. Okay, once again, my perspective is nicely skewed here. Okay, it's right here. So it's going to be 2R, slide it to the left, 2L, slide it back to the right, 2R, slide it back to the left. You can see how nice it moves once I get it lined up. And 2L. And slide it back. Okay, so I miscalculated. It's actually not this one at all. It must be not this, this, I guess it must be this. But let's be sure. let's go ahead and do 1, 2. And see what we've got here. 1, 2. Okay, I think it's this one right there. 1, 2. And move this back. Okay, we're going to say it's this one. So 2R rather, move it to the left. 2L, oops, move it back to the right. R, move it back to the left, and 2L, and let's see what mess we've made. Okay, that's pretty good. These are in, and these are in. So we have the equivalent of these edges in here. Now I might as well put these in as well. I'm going to turn it upside down and see what we've got here. Okay, this looks good, and this looks good. Okay, so that all looks quite fine. So we're getting this in here and this. Now the thing about it is that these don't seem to fit, nor do these. So I'm thinking what I need to do is this 1, 2, and that doesn't fit either. 1, 2. Okay, so we have to think about this, because if these don't fit, and yet they fit the top and the bottom here, then either they don't actually fit the top and the bottom, or I have to go like this. 1, 2. And then I move these in, and bang, it fits. Okay, good. So that just told me that I had it like this, and I didn't realize it. But if I have it like this, then it fits. Okay, so with that said, now we're still trying to make this make sense. We're going to now try to correlate it with, well, if we have this in, I suppose it's the equivalent of these two being in as well. So that would mean these two edges are in. So do an adjacent corner swap to our U, to our UI, to our UI, D, to our UI, to our U, to our, and this moves here. Okay, so you see we're slowly getting our shape. These centers are all correct. I just have to flip these guys. So this is going to be 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U. Let's move this over here and do 2R, U, 2R, U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, and that gets our shape back with all of our centers and edges correct. We just have these middles to do. Okay, so this is something like that, where what we have is we have these guys in, but we don't have the centers in. But all we had to do is get the edges. We just don't know about the centers. This is going to be the only thing that's going to make sense. So just like these will have its true form, just like this will also have its true form, so I know that this is not correct. Which means that maybe it belongs like this or like this, but these centers are all wrong. So I'm going to say that this is where it needs to be, and I suppose the next step, without worrying about this, is what goes here. And it's only going to be this one or this one. And that depends on the center. So which center belongs here? Well, it's not this. Is it just on the other side? Nope. Could it be this one, or could it be this one? Well, I guess the way to find out is let's turn this upside down. One, two. And now let's move this one in and see if it matches. Alignment, 1, 2. And nope. So let's quickly move this back. Snags a little bit, which means that it must be this one. So I'm going to take this and move it here and do myself a sliding U technique with this. So it's going to be 2M, move it to the side, L, and this comes back here. Okay, unfortunately, after all that, it did not have the desired effect. This is still off, which means it might be one of these guys. It probably is. But in so doing, what I did is I kind of messed this up a little bit. Or did I? Oh no, actually I didn't. Never mind. So I thought it was this and it's not. So let me see if there's something else. Oh, right over here. Okay, I totally misjudged. This belongs here. So that's going to be a... Well, let's get this one in then. Is it anywhere on this side? Nope. Okay. Which means it comes from somewhere down here. Maybe it's this one. Let's go 1. I don't think we have to go 2, we just have to do 1. So let me double turn it, move it, and nope, doesn't like it. Turn it back. Okay. What about this one? And that's going to be double turn, move it in, and yes, this one right over here. Okay, let's go ahead and double turn this back. So this guy comes over to here. So let's move it opposite. I'm going to blast this one out by going here. And you can see this fits nicely over into here as well. So 2M, move to here, 2L, move it back, M, move this back here, and 2L, and move this back. So now what we like is we see this is now in, and now it's a matter of getting the one that we blasted out to here. Now which one was it? Well, it's down here somewhere, and just in case it's this one, which I doubt, let's go 2R, so 1, 2, and not surprising it's not that one. So we very quickly get this back. Where was I? We're doing these. Okay, maybe it is this one. So let's move this to the side, just to see. Double turn, move it in, and yes, we do like that one. Okay, good. And we'll double turn this back. Okay, so we're going to move this opposite here, and now we're going to sliding U technique put this one in. So move it in so I don't lose my perspective. 2M, slide it to the left or right, but we'll do left. 2L, slide it back, find where it wants to go, right here, 2M, back over here with one final 2L, and we go back here. Okay, so now this is in. So you can see we've got this in, we've got this in, and now we just need to get this and this in order to really finish these first two layers, here and here. Okay, make sure that we're nice and lined up. Okay, very good. But I'm going to put this here and put this back here, just for the sake of posterity. And where I'm going to move next is getting this one in and this one in, and it should be easier to finish these layers here. Okay, so next I want to move what needs to move into here. Now I've got to speak quietly because my family's trying to sleep and they're just going to wait. So I suspect this needs to go to here. The way I'm going to check that is I'm going to double turn here and see if it fits. And I find, yes, it does. Okay, so because this is the top of the dominant layer, I'll just do a sliding U technique. Move it into this position. And then we have a 2M, U, 2L, okay, you see what I almost did there? Let me start from the beginning. Okay, I almost made a horrible mistake. Let's get this back just so I know I didn't mess anything up. Okay. Okay, take two. I moved the top and I should have moved the middle here, so 2M, which lines up with this nicely as you can see. Move this to an L position. Then 2L, move it back to its M position. To M and back, slide it back to the L position, to L, and of course slide it back. Okay, so you can see this is here. We can slide this back as well. Actually, I think it went to here. Okay, so this is good. This is good. We see that we're moving this in place. That's going to serve us later. And this is good here. So I think we've got pretty much this side of it. Now we just have to turn it upside down and get these sides of it. So this doesn't belong here. We had a couple things that we need to do, but they're all within the right layer, possibly. So we can try to get this one in first. And this one wants to get into there. Okay, and just out of curiosity, nope, not here. Is there anything on this layer that'll take this one? Not this, not this. This? Yeah, okay. So this has to swap, and this has to swap. Okay, so what needs to happen is these two swap, and then these two swap. Okay, so 2R, U to R U to R to U to R to U to R U to R UI and to R. Okay, that should be here. This got turned, but that's okay. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to line this into position, do exactly the same algorithm. And that should get this placement parity back. To our U to our U to R to U to R to U to R U to R UI and to R. Okay, now if I go like this, if my calculations are correct, this is now in and this is now in. So that is good. Okay, the only issue is this appears to be in and this appears to be in, but this is not in. So it means that if I go to here, this isn't in either. It does make me wonder if this is supposed to be like this. But that is kind of my dilemma. This is taking shape nicely. We like this, we like all of this over here, and we like this over here. But this is just not quite fitting. Which makes me think this is turned wrong. This has to be turned like this. Okay, and that's something I'm going to have to decipher, because this doesn't seem to be lined up correct. These two are lined up with each other, which is nice. These are lined up with each other, which is also nice. These two are lined up with each other too. This is actually, looks like it's in. These two are off. These two are skewed. And this is obviously not where it's supposed to be either. Okay, so I've got to think on that as to why this isn't matching. And at first blush, I'm tempted to say this lines up with this, perhaps? I think the only way to know is to get the correct one in here. So we're going to say that, well, we thought that we had that. Yeah, we don't have this one. So let's get this one in, and maybe things will present itself? Maybe it's this. Now let's move this to the side. Double turn. Move this here, and yeah, that one works. Okay, so what that means to me is that I've got to move this like so. And let's do our sliding U technique. So we've got 2M, U, 2L, UI, 2M, U, and then whoop, just about there. L and UI, just like that. And move this into here. Okay, so what this appears to show is this is in, we like this. All of this is fine. And what if I went like this? Oh, yeah, so this is fine over here. What if I drag this like so? Yeah, okay, that's what I suspected. So this is how it's supposed to be. Which means that this is rotated wrong. It's the equivalent of this. Somewhat all of this got solved, but this is in the wrong place. Okay. I can possibly fix this doing an algorithm. Because what it comes down to is just flipping these guys. And what that algorithm is it's going to be an even layer, odd layer URF. So to flip these two, I do 2U, 2R, and then in the center 2F, then a 2U, then a 2F, 2R, 2U, 2F. You see it flip these two. Then I have to do another one to flip this. Now normally that would create some placement parity, but let's get that back. 2U, 2R, 2F, 2U, 2F, 2R, 2U, 2F. Okay, let's see what happens if we do it that way. So what we're going to want to do is move these. But I've got to be careful because I have to make sure I'm moving it in the right direction. So here's what I mean. These are all in. So I'm going to turn this, I'm going to unghost this to make sure it likes where it is. And yeah, this is all good. I'm going to move this in to make sure it likes where it is. And that's good too. Okay. Let's re-ghost this. And what it comes down to is I'm going to say the top part is where it wants to be. But it's this bottom part. So I'm going to have to flip these guys. So let's see how this works. 2U, 2R, and then a deep 2F, then a 2U, then a deep 2F, 2R, 2U, and then once more, should do it. There we go, 2F. Okay, here's what we like about this. This is now all lined up over here. This is all lined up over here, and this is wrong. But that's all okay. We just have this one to go. So we can find out which center belongs here. And is it this one? Nope. I lay odds. It's not this. It must be this. I'm going to say that's what it is. So let's go ahead and do our sliding U technique. Drag that to here, and let's make with the magic. To U, or to M rather. Slide it to L. To L. Slide it to M. To M. Slide it back to L. To L. And then once more back to M. And to M. Now, didn't have the effect I was looking for. Oh, unless I had to do this. Okay, so where we have it now is among this side. This is in, this is in, this is in, and this is in. So we turn it upside down, and I just have to get these centers in. And let's see how this is going to work. This well, let's see. So this is in on this side. So if I hold it here, this fits nicely with this one. And this doesn't fit with this, but it does fit with this. Okay. So I think I have my marching papers. What's going to happen is I'm going to flip-flop these two, so this will be where it needs to be here. Then I'm going to flip-flop these two. Now notice when doing this, this center is going to rotate. But as long as I do another edge swap, it'll rotate back. So let's do a adjacent edge swap here. 2R, U, to our U, to our to U, to our to U, to our U, to our UI, and 2R. Now, don't panic. This has been, this ends up giving us a little bit of misplacement, not exactly parity, but misplacement. Now I'm going to do an opposite end swap, and that should cause these to go where they need to be. See? Right there. And that should fix everything we did here. So it's going to be... Okay, so we pick it up from here, and that's where you have the center in and these two, just like with this. So the next step is, what I usually do is I put these edges in. So I line edges up, so these two are lined up, but they belong on this side. So this is the even layer URF algorithm, which swaps these two. So that's 2U, 2R, 2F, then 2U, 2U, and 2F, 2R, 2U. So these are in. So we've got these guys that are left. So with these in, I'm going to start to put things in positions where they're supposed to be. So this belongs here, and this belongs here. So 2U, 2R, 2F, 2U, 2U, 2F, 2R, 2U. So I have a situation where all of these are in, this is in, and these two are not. These two are not in, nor is this. But this belongs here, and this belongs here. So 2U, 2R, 2F, 2U, 2U, 2F, 2R, 2U. Now the reason that I did that is eventually I'm going to come to a situation where there's just 1, 2, 3 that are out. And that is in essence the brick parity. Now when I did that algorithm that URF'd on the even layer version, what I didn't notice is that certain centers also flipped. This flipped and this flipped. If I did it in a even layer, odd layer version, then this will flip and the top will flip. You can't tell that from here. When I have something like a brick parity, well, we can see if that's what happens with this puzzle. So let's see what happens where we're at with the edges here. If I roll this into here, I can see that this lines up. Actually, this lines up here. This does not. This lines up and this lines up. So that renders just one of these that are not correct. So where should that go? And as I turn this around, well, let's see. This is correct here, but none of the rest line up. I can keep going around. None of the rest line up here. So I'm really in a situation where only one of these, so this lines up here. Oh, okay. So here's the thing. This lines up here, and this lines up here. Does it line up exactly? It does. So that means these two are in, these two are out. And over here, if I line these guys up, all these are in, but this is out. So what that means to me is that 3 are out. So this is actually a brick parity. So once again, this is in, this is in, this is not, and this is not. They don't belong here. In this case, this is in, so is this, and so is this, but this is out. So it's a brick parity. All right, now that I've identified that, how do I get out of it? Well, what I do is, the way this algorithm is going to work is this will go here, this will go down here, and this will come up here. Now this one I don't want to take out, but I can use this. So if I flip this over here, this will go here, this will go here, and this will go here. And the way this is going to work, this is towards the left side. So we're going to start off with we start off with a 2F. We do a UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R. We do another 2F, and then we take this middle part here and do a 2L, then swing it back with a 2F. Then we reverse what we just did by going 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L, U. We then do another 2F, and then we wrap this back again, splat. What you're going to find is all these, I'll just turn this back here, are now in. So we have achieved the resolution of the brick parity. Now, How am I going to do that with this one? Well, the first thing to do is decide where does each one have to go. So I suspect this one has to go with this, but let's see if that's actually true. So I'm going to pop this here and see if this lines up with this guy here. Well, you know what? I don't think it will, because it's going to occupy the same space as this. So it does belong here. Well, let's start looking. Let's start searching. One, two. Nope, not this one. The thing about it is that this is the one that didn't fit. So where do you belong? Or better yet, I can ask the question, what does belong over here? Now let's see. One, two. Nope. And let's go 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to say that this guy belongs here. Now, I have to do my brick parity across a top portion here, but this guy belongs here. Okay, so if this belongs here, then this is going to go here, which means this is going to go somewhere up here. Maybe it actually belongs here. Just as a proof of concept, let's see if this rolls into this piece here. And I'm going to see what actually lines up with this piece, this. And the question is, does this belong over here? It seems so convoluted, but it kind of makes sense, sort of. Anyway, we're going to go 1, 2. And I'm going to roll this into here. 1, 2. Okay, I lay odds this does actually belong with this. That's what I'm thinking. 1, 2. Okay, so what that means, 1, 2. Okay, what that means is that this piece belongs here. So if I hold it here, this belongs here, and this piece belongs here. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I have the right alignment for the brick parity. I'm just too nervous to do it. Okay, so this goes to here, this goes to here, and this will go to here. So what happened here? This went to here, this went to here, and this went to here. Okay, let's be sure of this. This will go here, this will go here, and this will go here. Is that how that worked? This goes here, and this slides up here, right? So this goes here, and this slides up here. Okay, so I'm going to say yes. And here's how this works. Very nervous about this, but here's how this works. This is going to be the right-sided version of it, the right-sided. Which means instead of here to here, this is going to go from here to here. So we start off with a 2F, like this, 2F. Then instead of a UI, we start off with a U, 2R, UI, 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L. Okay? Now we do a 2F, like so. And we do a 2R with here, if we can. Yes, we can. Good. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then another 2F to get it back. Kind of resets the puzzle, so to speak. Be very careful, 2F. Okay, now we reverse what we did. Okay, that's going to be a 2L, U, 2R, UI, 2L, U, to R, UI. Okay? And now we do 1, 2. Move this twice. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then move it back. Like so. Only, actually I don't think we have to move it back. Okay, now we take a look at what we did. And if it caused a clean swap, if I did this right, if I did this correctly, if I did this correctly, these should all line up. So let's see what mess we've made. I'm going to turn this into here. The moment of truth. Good, 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 and good. Let's move this out of ghost position. Good, 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 and good. So there you have it. This may be the very first time that there is a demonstration of a brick parity on a ghost 3x4x5, a ghost brick. The very first time, and it actually worked. So basically I have it in this position, although there's a little bit more issues here. So now let's move this back into ghost position here. So now it's a matter of getting these guys in, and it's a combination of a couple of algorithms. There's only one to work on here. So when I see two that are out, I do the even layer URF algorithm. 2U, 2R, 2F, 2U, 2U, 2F, 2R, 2U. It popped these two back in, but it did substitute these two. 2U, 2R, 2F, 2U, 2U, 2F, 2R, 2U, and then I'd be done. But not so simple here. Okay, so what needs to go where? All these edges are in. So let's see, this is out. And I suspect, though I can't say for sure, what needs to go where? Okay, what needs to go into here? Is it one of these guys? Well, let's see. Let's double turn this. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, we see that none of these, this doesn't fit and this doesn't fit. So let's bring it back. No, so no sense in there. How about on the other side here? Did any of these fit? 1, 2, 1, 2. And yes, this one does. This one fits. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so this guy belongs here. But this guy does not belong here. But let's check it out again, just to be sure. Because that would be a nice swap if it did. 1, 2. Nope. But if I come over to here, you see that it does. Okay, so how shall we proceed with something like that? You know, I notice that this is in. So where do you belong? So you belong here. But you don't belong here. Okay, so really if I wanted to move this and exchange it with this, I could. What I do is I move it like so, and I do that URF'd but with an odd layer. Now if I do that here, it's going to put the parity over here, then I can swap that back. But we have to bear in mind what's going to happen across here. It's going to change some things in this area. Okay, so let's just do it. Let's see what happens. Now when I do that, notice this center is going to be rotated and this center is going to be rotated. Then when I do it again, this should rotate back and this should rotate back. But something's going to happen with these two that we're going to have to sort out. Anyway, so let's do it. 2U, 2R, and then a deep 2F. And then a 2U, then a deep 2F, 2R, 2U, and one more 2F. Okay, what did it achieve? Well, it achieved this. So that's good. But what did it also do? It rotated this center, flip-flopped these two, and as promised, it rotated the center over here. So to get that back, I'm going to now flip-flop these two. Same single-edged algorithm. Single swap algorithm. 2U, 2R, 2F, just superficially here, 2U, then 2F, 2R, 2U, and 2F. Okay, what do we achieve? Well, these are now brought back. This is rotated correctly. Now this is rotated correctly. But I think in doing this, we did do something to these edges here. I think we might have flipped those, but let's see if that is indeed what happened. Maybe it got flipped back. Yeah, so as you can see, well, maybe not. I'm going to be prepared to flip that back, but let's see. If I move this in place, yeah, you can see that these don't match anymore. Okay, so let's flip this back over here. Like so. So what I actually need to do is I need to flip-flop these two. But because they're the same, well, I could go like this. Yeah, what's interesting is this is actually correct. And if I were to put this in, like this, yeah, okay. It's kind of interesting because this is actually correct. It got flipped. It got flipped, but it already was flipped. So when I flip it back, so this is actually correct, but I've got to flip it back to get these two guys back here. So splat. Now what you're going to notice is at the end of the day, this is in as well, but I got to flip these two. Now I could do that by doing an even layer one. This is the equivalent of rotating these two. But if I do that, I'm going to flip-flop this, and I'm going to flip-flop this. So what can I do to well, not cause any issues there? I think the best thing that I can do is find a way to continue to get these guys in. So what actually belongs here? 1, 2. Okay. 1, 2. Aha, we like that. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, what that tells me is that this belongs here. Let me just be sure of that. Yeah. Okay, so that means that this needs to switch with this. Now the question is, if that's the case, what do they put in here? We know that this let's see. Yeah. Okay, that means this one is not in. This must belong here. I think that's what that is. This belongs here. Or maybe not. Okay, I'm trying to think, what did I put in here? I'm going to move this here for a second. 1, 2. Let's see what happens when I go like this. Okay. So what did I just discover? Well, I discovered that this belongs here. So when these guys flip-flop, this belongs over here. So that's good. But this doesn't belong over here. What that means to me is I'm going to keep this right where it is because this has to come to here. But this doesn't belong anywhere. If I were to move this into here, and then I flip them, this, which belongs with these guys, is going to end up here. So when I flip it, or when I flip these two will then match up with this center, which will already be here. So my theory, which means this has to stay exactly where it is, because that's going to be lined up with these guys. This is lined up with these guys. This is going to be lined up with these guys, so I'm going to put this here, and that'll help get these back. Okay, so that should be a perfect union here. So we have 2U, 2R, and then a deep to F, and then to U, then to F, to R, to U, and to F. Okay, so when I do this again, my hope is that a couple of things will happen. Number one, these will flip correctly, this will flip correctly, this will flip back, and then what's going to happen is that these two are also going to swap to line up with these centers here, and this will swap back as well. So when I do it again, these centers will all swap with each other, and then everything will be in. But let's see. So we have 2U, 2R, 2F, 2U, 2F, 2R, 2U, and 2F. Okay, so where did that lead us? Well, good, good, and look at this. All in and all in. And that's just by strategizing that. So this is all in, this is all in, and these are all in. So I hope you caught that, and I hope future me catches that as well. But basically by doing the algorithm of flipping this, it flipped these centers and these centers, and then by doing it a second time, it flipped these guys. So what I did is I planned that by swapping these two, it also swapped these as well. Okay, so now we get into these folks over here. So what's in and what's not in? Ah, good golly, a lot. So this whole thing is in here. These two are not in, which means, well, let's see. This is in over here, and this is not. Now, I'm not sold to any one position that these are in. This is in, and my thinking is that what belongs next to here? Well, let's see. Let's go ahead and wheel this over like that, and this is in here. So these two belong next to each other. Which means this belongs here, and this belongs here. And I can only imagine what that means is that this belongs here and vice versa. So it might be that all I have to do is do a even layer URF to algorithm. Now when I do that, this will flip and these will flip. However, when I do it with this, when I get these back in, my hope is this will flip back and these will flip back. So this may be a puzzle solving maneuver. Let's see if I don't trip myself up. So that's 2U, even layer now, 2R and a deep, 2F, and then 2U, 2U, then a deep, 2F, 2R, and 2U. Okay, a couple surprises. This did not swap. These are all where they need to be, exactly where they need to be. As is this, except for these two. These are not. Now I kind of anticipated that this was going to rotate. It didn't. So I might be stuck, but let's see what happens. Let's finish our algorithm. 2U, 2R, 2F, 2U, 2U, and 2F, 2R, 2U. Okay, interesting. This is all fine. This is not. This is all fine. This is not. So I hope I'm not chasing my tail here, but it appears that these two need to swap. Just to prove it, I may be chasing my tail. 1, 2, 1, 2. Does it belong? I'm not sure. It might. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, it seems pretty clear that this doesn't belong here. I think it belongs here. Let's check that out. Yeah, that belongs there. No doubt. Okay, well, like I say, I may be chasing my tail because I thought that this was the last of it. But let's see what happens. Let's swap these two, which is going to swap these two, and see where things go. Okay, so 2U, 2R, and a deep 2F. And that's 2U, 2U, and a deep 2F, 2R, and 2U. Okay, not surprisingly, this whole thing needs to swap. In the meantime, we kind of like where these are, except this is indeed rotated. but this isn't. So by doing it again, maybe we'll get these to rotate back. Okay. To U, to R, to F, to U, and to F, to R, and to U. Okay, interesting. This is fine. This is rotated wrong. And this is correct. Okay, so we're sort of stuck in this loop a little bit. That that I need to get these guys to rotate. But every time I do that, I end up rotating something else. So that's what I have to work out. This is all fine, and I'm down to this last bit over here where this rotates. Okay, so I'm going to have to strategize this a little bit. How do I swap these without rotating something? Well, without rotating a center. Or better yet, how do I rotate the back? Well, let's move it over here. And let's get these two opposite each other. And let's try this again. Let's see. So, 1, 2. Okay. So here's my thinking. I do it once. I rotate this. And this is going to rotate. I do it again, it should rotate it back. But somehow it doesn't happen that way. Let's see. Okay, let's just rotate it to U. To U, to R. Then a deep to F, to U, and a deep to F, to R, and to U. And for a brief few moments, this is all in. Oh, okay, here's the thing. This is not in, this has to rotate. So if I rotate this again, if I do this again, this will be placed back in, and then they should rotate. It should be fine, it should be okay. And it might have to do with just the nature of the different layers, but let's try that again. So this shouldn't be touched, but this should rotate, which is kind of what I want it to do. So, to U, to R, to F, to U, to F, to R, and to U. Once again, this has not changed. This was rotated back. Turn this back here. These are now all in. This is all in. So I think what we have is a solved ghost 3x4x5, solved brick. So let's see. Turn this back into here. This is lined up. Turn this back here. This is lined up. This is lined up, and finally this is lined up, and done! So there it is. Looking all around, we see we have now returned it back to its natural state, its non-ghosted state. This Halloween is now over, so the fear is done. So what I really enjoyed about this is this was a very, very solid solve experience. A ghost brick, a 3x4x5, which harkened me back to this puzzle over here. What I really enjoyed about this is it took it to a new level where I had to understand the rotation of the centers, the position of the centers, skewing my perspective. We even got a brick parity with this. So hours and hours of fun getting this figured out, and really look forward to more ghosts, more cuboids, and of course, more in the collection. In any case, thanks for watching.